Hey, I'm Ted Santos from Straight Talk. It's that show that's made for men by men. We are the place that not even women want to miss because we always discuss life, love, career, money. We always do it from a man's perspective. And as you can see, this title probably may have even some of you guys saying, "Yeah, but how about my situation is different." I'm telling you, she's never going to love you. And you guys are going to have to face that. So, don't shoot the messenger. Okay, guys? Don't shoot the messenger. I'm telling you, I spent a lot of time researching this subject. So I'm not just talking from the top of my head. This isn't my opinion. And I'll even throw in some experience, but what I did was, I want to make this video really short. And if you want to fully understand the research and the science behind why she's never going to love you, and actually what you can do about it, so that way you become a master of your destiny and have some control in your relationship, instead of doing like a lot of guys who are puppets on a string because they think vagina is the most important thing and they let that run their whole life. So if you understand she won't love you and the vagina is still available, you might handle yourself a little bit differently. So if you like to hear the full breakdown of this and understand the facts about women and love and their lack of love, you can hear it all in my Patreon account, which is going to be in the description. So become a Patreon member and you'll see some other videos in there that I've never posted on YouTube, some of the live shows I've done, and some other shows that will never go into YouTube, like this one. So essentially, I'm going to take a very complex subject and make it extremely simple. Love is not what you think. All this nonsense about feelings in your heart in a woman, that's all a woman's idea. And she just sells it to you. She sells it to all men. And that's designed for you to do all the work. And when you do all the work, you actually get hooked. You get hooked because why? You have a lot of investment in this woman and time. And she can easily walk away from you and leaving you holding nothing except all these strong feelings for her. So I've said it before. Do not allow women to lead you. Your fate is never good if she's leading. And technically, she doesn't even care about the best interest of everyone involved. They just don't. That's just not what women are thinking about. Look at the world if you doubt me. Think about this. Romance, it's all about what you do for her. And if you doubt that, ask her what she's done for men romantically. Probably only revolves around sex and food. But your list of romantic things, there's a really long list. So, and I know for you guys who are players, technically you don't care, right? And in what I'm saying, in what I laid out here, even in Patreon, will give players even more of an advantage with women. It will help you better understand what's really going on with her and the advantage that you can have with her. And for you guys who say you're not a player, well, if you believe in romance, you're a player. So the guy who believes in romance is either being a player and playing the woman, or he's playing himself. And the guy who's playing himself, you know how that turns out. That's never a happy ending. And I'm saying that because romance has nothing to do with creating a great relationship. For women, romance is about rewards, like feeding a dog a doggy biscuit. And if anyone knows about Pavlov's dog, If you don't, look it up. Pavlov's dog. That's what a lot of people have become in relationships. That's what a relationship is for most people. It's a doggy biscuit. So what you call love is a biochemical secretion. That's it. Biochemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin. And for those of you who have never heard of vasopressin, you'll want to know about this one. And I go much deeper into it in a Patreon. So let me just at least give you some insight into what I'm talking about here. All three of those, dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin, they're all secreted by a gland in your brain. And dopamine, it's strong in men and women. Oxytocin is stronger in women. And as I said, vasopressin is very strong. It's much stronger in men than in women. And they make you feel good. And they'll even make you believe you're in love. It's a bodily function that helps humans perpetuate the species. That's it. They make men and women want to have sex. That's the way we were designed to continue to perpetuate the species. We have neurochemicals that make us feel like having sex with one another. And the way a woman's brain functions is different than a man. That includes neurochemicals that are secreted. I didn't say wired. Notice that. That's an overused and inaccurate term. People believe the brain is hardwired. It's not. It's just a lie. In the Patreon video, I talk about how you can significantly influence her feelings towards you. That's why I know it's no person's brain is hardwired. You can actually influence and alter the way someone feels or sees things. In other words, you can make the brain function in your favor on purpose. I lay that out. First, women have way more brain activity than men. And for the record, it has nothing to do with intelligence. Even though they may tell you that, don't buy it. For the most part, women, they just worry about things. They create various scenarios over one situation happens, and they create all these scenarios. And the scenarios they create have nothing to do with what's happening. Like, they're thinking about things that are not happening now, won't happen in the future, never happened in the past, except they're worried about it. And what that does is have women create unnecessary anxiety. This is why women attempt suicide 3.5 times more than men. Like, men actually commit suicide more than women. Women attempt suicide. Men are just successful at it. Clearly more successful at it than women. So basically all these anxiety thoughts women have, they're basically driving themselves crazy. And hence the reason I say never let a woman lead you. In her mind, she's destroyed your relationship several times. In her head, you want to cheat on her, you want to leave her, you want to beat her, you want to kill and bury her in the yard. You want to make her a sex slave, and there's just a long list. I actually remember on 2 occasions women coming to my house for the first time, and they both asked me if I was going to kill them when they get to my house. Will you bury me in your backyard? I mean, so if I was going to do it, what am I going to say? Yes. For the record, I didn't. But if I was, I guess I could have said yes, and she would have never believed it, and I could have done it. I mean, it's kind of late to be asking that question, except that's just an example. I mean, how can you be going to some guy's house and you're worried about him murdering you? These are things we don't worry about as men. What an advantage, right? So in the meantime, you believe her mind is capable of love. And you have no idea she has all that crazy stuff going on. And to get away from the crazy stuff, she's seeking rewards, like that oxytocin and dopamine rushes. So while she has an abundance of love chemicals called oxytocin, It's located in the part of the brain that is seeking rewards. So it's a reward for her. As a side, if she's promiscuous, all that's going to do is it increases her anxiety and deforms the bonding secretions of oxytocin. It's difficult for her to bond and cooperate, and I get much deeper into that later as to why that's happening. But let me just tell you about these two gynecologists, Joel McHaney and Frida Bush. They wrote a book called Hooked. And what they say about a woman being promiscuous is, further, there is evidence that when this sex bonding breaking up cycle is repeated on few or many times, even when the bonding was short-lived, damage is done to the important built-in ability to develop significant and meaningful connection to other human beings. So the whole having sex, bonding, a woman's going to bond whether she likes it or not. The oxytocin is going to secrete, and it just creates dysfunction. So if you understand how important oxytocin is to a woman, just think about it. When she's pregnant, her oxytocin levels rise significantly to ensure that the child rewards her with love. She showers the child with love with the hope that the child will return it. So think about it, right? She's pregnant, oxytocin in the brain. It also goes into her uterus, and that's causing, nature is like making her bond with this child, right? That child is causing the oxytocin, and she's bonding with it. And to ensure she gets back from the child the same bonding that she's making available to it, she showers that child with love. And as you can imagine, when it's not returned, she attempts to guilt the child. She uses lines like, I gave you life, I carried you for 9 months, I went through pain and suffering to have you, I sacrificed XYZ to have a child, I'm your mother. You hear all these things, and it's even funny. Even when women don't know a man, they still attempt to guilt a man into why you cannot say certain things about women, right? So if you, as a man, hold women accountable, or you even say, hey, look, women don't love, and you lay out facts, women start saying things like, well, your mother's a woman, and you can't say that about women unless you include your mother. And, maybe, guys, maybe you need to face up to some facts that your mother, your aunt, your grandmother, your sister, they have a woman's brain, and all this stuff that I'm laying out is for them also. You've got to get real about that, including that hot chick in the gym that you've been checking out. If you're in a gym during this COVID season. So, as you can see, women are not capable of unconditional love. There are always conditions, even for her offspring. So why do you think she's going to love you? And especially love you unconditionally. There are even conditions for her children. And if they don't meet those conditions, she's pretty damn upset. So the crazy part is, you believe if you jump through hoops, like enough hoops, she's going to love you. And if you think about it, a woman doesn't mind jumping through hoops. Just watch what she does for her children. In the hopes of her getting a reward back, she showers them with love, hoping that she gets it back, because a woman's biggest fear is being alone. Even though she'll claim she's independent and doesn't need a man, she's terrified of being alone. So she'll cook and clean and slave for her children, and she won't do that for a man. She'll tell a man, I'm not your slave. So, yet she tells a man that she needs you to make her happy. So, and that's a whole nother problem, which I'll really get into. So, ultimately, guys, I want to give you some tools so that you can better navigate through the complexities, not be delusional about relationships. I even talk about really what love would look like, if there's such a thing as love, how you would know that was happening. Not to get caught up in your own chemical secretions. And women actually have an advantage. Nature has given women an advantage when it comes to these feel-good chemicals. Remember, it's oxytocin, dopamine, and vasopressin. And the way they work in a man, you're at a slight disadvantage. So I lay that out so that you can actually be able to handle yourself and manage yourself, and not find yourself in a situation where you end up losing. And I'm not even talking about divorce court and family court and all that. I'm just talking about being in a relationship, period, or not getting hooked, like the book they made. So come check me out on Patreon. There are a bunch of guys who need to have a better understanding on how to handle their own mind or mindset in the way they deal with women, and how and their expectations of women and expectations of themselves. So share this video with as many men that you know, especially younger guys, and give them a head start. Like it, comment, and I want to see you over in Patreon, becoming one of my members. For all the support I've gotten from everyone so far, thank you very much. I always appreciate your comments, and I look forward to giving you more videos where you can actually have the advantage, whether it's a relationship or business. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.